Alright guys, got the Raptor in here. Of course I know we just got it. It's only got about 150 miles on it. But what I did, and what I'm doing is a few little things. You know, we put these red little bling things on the front, you know, our clevises for towing, just because it looks a little better. Or, yeah, some contrasting thing, you know, what you put on there. And then I added, I want to show you this, these wheel spacers. Hopefully that fan's not making too much noise. So I got this one bolted on and torqued. I got the other one bolted on and torqued, and then I put the tire back on it. Because what it does, like on these front of these Raptors, you can kind of see that fender's pushed out a little bit. And so this brings it out kind of even with that fender, those 1.5-inch spacers. And then in the back I haven't done it yet, but the reason I'm doing that, and then of course this isn't a super good representation right now because it is up on the lift. So when it does that, these things swing in a little bit, and so it'll settle down. It'll push it slightly, maybe 1/2 inch outside of that fender. It makes it look better. It makes it a little bit tiny wider stance. You figure that's going to be a 3-inch wider stance front and rear. And then I've got these we won in a little up at Bronco Super Celebration, in a little drawing they had. We won these rear shock mounts from Mountain Metal. They're pretty stout. They got their logo on it. It'll go up in here kind of like that. I'll show you after I get them on. You just loosen the bolt. Use a couple 9/16 bolts on the one side, and then put them on both sides. And it protects the shocks up under here from damage. At least the lower mounts, you know, this structure right here. And it's protection, I guess. We'll see. I mean, and then, you know, they have differential skid plates. I don't know if this thing will ever need it, or if it'll ever go in too harsh an environment, because again, it is the wife's car and she's particular about it. It's a very, very capable vehicle. You can just tell by all the suspension, the shocks, the huge springs, the swing arms. You know, I mean, there is other swing arms you put on there, make it even stronger. But yeah, and then it's got the 3-liter buried in here, V6, 400 horse, twin turbo setup. Yeah, your normal bunch of stuff. Got a little Ford Performance thing. That's kind of cool. That they stuff under the hood. Pretty big air filter on it, and then it's got a looks like a additional cooler, probably. Is that the? I don't know if that's the intercooler for the. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know what that goes to. This thing right here. Usually they have intercoolers for the turbos, things like that. I just see I just see air going to the turbos. Oh well. And then no mechanical fan, just 2 electric fans. Big old battery, because it's a lot of electronics. Then you have your I think this or integrated into this is where your upfitter relays are for your upfitter switches up above the driver. And then of course double overhead cam V6. And then yeah, so I got little doohickeys that go over this, just little happies. And then I'm probably gonna paint this skid plate black and black it out a little more. And then but yeah, so far so good. I'll bolt on the rear spacers in a minute and those shock protectors, and then go from there. Here's a better shot of the suspension. Pretty beefy swing arms with a bump stop on it. Got her sway bar back behind it. The weak link of these Broncos, because of the independent suspension's that rack right there. That the tie rod is on the end. But it is depending on how you drive it. But you can beef those up. I think because this has the Haas 2.0, it's got a beefier rack already. And again, sometimes if you strengthen one thing, it breaks something else. So you might want to have your tie rod bend rather than destroy your rack. So yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get into those bending anything, but we'll see. You never know, because you get out there and play with these things, you can all of a sudden do stuff. But yeah, I figured I'd give you a little quick video on that, and some of the little happies we're doing. Her wife calls them little play pretties, or basically modifications that we're doing to this little beast, just to kind of make it our own. Put a little short antenna on there, might have showed that the other day, and then took off some of the dealer badges and stuff. I got to clean up the stuff with goo off, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, a lot of plastic on these things, a lot of plastic. I guess that's the thing now. And all these fenders are removable. These fender flares are removable. The roof's all removable. Windshield doesn't lay down like the 66. And then here's the other thing. Oh, while I got you, this is kind of funny. I'm thinking of doing this size tire. Let me roll it up here. Hold on a minute. On this rig, because it's got a 35 on it now. Can't get a true representation because it's sitting on the ground. It's 2 inches taller. If it's centered, it'd be an inch taller. But yeah, that'd be a chunk underneath this thing. But I set up the axles. Yeah, we'll see. I set up the axles and front and rear to be able to accommodate 37s within reason. And I got that big axle wrap bar. You guys can see it back there on this 66 as well, to accommodate a larger tire that could be more prone to have more leverage on things, that could do more with torque steer, torque axle wrap, and anti-wrap for the axle, and that's what you're really wanting. These springs do pretty good with axle wrap because they're 11 leaf, and so they help. But that's going to really make a difference, especially if you run these bigger tires. But yeah, I got 31 spline axles. I could have done, what was it, 34s, I think the highest they go on a 9-inch. But 31s are pretty good, and it depends on how you drive it and if you're going to beat it up. And it only has 10 U-joints, so it's only going to be so robust anyway. That's going to be your weak link, I think, on this setup would be your U-joints. So I'd have to always remember that when I'm out with it, if I put bigger tires on it. So we'll see, but yeah. But I thought it was kind of funny because these kind of are what I want to go to. It'd be, these are KO2s, and I'd probably go to what's on my 74 KO3 on this one. So yeah, but anyways, I'll show you more after a little bit here when I get the rears done, and then I'll put it on the ground and show you what the stance looks like after that. Probably won't be a bunch more that we'll do to this. Again, like I said the other day, we're going to do an insert for this that's red, and the little thing in the back that's red. And then there's a light that I have that goes inside on the roll bar that's bigger, that uses the factory mount and plug in, and it gives you a lot more light inside. And then I think, other than painting a little bit in the front here, that's probably all we'll do to this beast, and then we'll just drive it and enjoy it. But all right, see you in a little bit. All right, you guys, to continue here with putting these spacers on the Raptor. I got them on the front, that's done. Now I'm doing them on the back. I had these shock protectors that I was putting on there. You guys can kind of see them there. They're not going to work. They're not Raptor specific. A Raptor uses this big piece here, right here, and it's a different setup. Where the other normal Bronco doesn't have that big a chunk sitting right there. I think the Bronco has a 4-link similar to this with the coilover setup that this has, but I think this shock demands a bigger mount. There's a little piece of plastic here that kind of protects it. I don't know how much that will protect it. And it looks like these are bigger, which would kind of make sense than a normal Bronco because you're running 37s. You're going to have more axle wrap when you hit the brakes and stuff. But there's some other things here that are kind of cool. If you guys can see, there's a electric exhaust cutouts. And there's 3 or 4 settings in there where you can change it from mild to wild, so to speak, but you can change it from normal to loud to quiet, and it operates off these cutouts. And they run it, looks like they're running probably a 2-to-1 in the front. I'll kind of show you underneath of this thing. looks like a 2-to-1 into this big muffler. There's not a skid plate on it. It's got these pieces of metal welded on it that would kind of help it go over top of things. But yeah, if you got too crazy, you'd pretty much crush this muffler. There's no skid plate on it. There's a skid plate here over the transfer case. There's a steel plate here, factory steel plate that's pretty thick, maybe 3/16. And then this plate here is real thick. That's the one I'm going to paint. It's only 4 bolts that hold that on. And of course, here's a little better picture of the swing arms. And then it looks like catalytic converter right there right off the exhaust. Yeah, cats with probably 402 sensors. I don't know if you can see them up in there. So they have cats right off the manifolds. And then it runs the transfer case. It's a rear wheel drive transmission, just like a truck. So this 10R80, similar to a truck. It might be a 1060, 10R60, a little smaller maybe. You can kind of see it there. I've got a 10R80 sitting here on the floor, and I could compare them to size. It might be a slightly smaller, but it is rear wheel drive with a transfer case that goes to run your front drive off of an independent suspension with half shafts. Yeah, interesting. It's using I don't know if a regular Bronco has double piston front brakes. It might, but this one does. And of course the bigger swing arms, because of those bigger tires. There's a lot there that it drives when you run those bigger tires. And of course it's got the removable running boards. And then, but yeah, this is kind of interesting, where they'll run this little pipes. It looks like one of them runs through, maybe that's the one that is the bypass when they close off these valves. If that was bigger, I think it'd be louder. It's a little bit louder. Of course, it's still a 6-cylinder, so it sounds like a 6-cylinder. Don't sound like a V8, that's for sure. Then it runs back here to a couple down, two tubes beside each other that kind of point outside. Here, let me get around, kind of show you some of this right here. And these are resonators that are on the back. I think they suppress a little bit more noise. And then of course the dual pipes. It looks kind of cool, and it keeps them up where it's not going to get hit by anything. And then because it's running a 4-link coilover setup, you got a pan hard rod here that looks fixed. You could probably, if you needed to, put an adjustable one in there. And then you have a it looks like a suspension. Let me get back to where it was. Yeah, what this is it tells you the articulation of the suspension, the ride height of the suspension, which probably helps interact with these shocks, because they're electric valve shocks. So it tells you, like, if this thing's articulating a lot, part of the active suspension, I think. It could be, because there's one on each side. So that would help with telling you how articulated you are with the valving. And it's called live valve. So it probably does read off of these sensors right here, and tells it it's articulating. And then in the back it has electric. Looks like, yeah, electric emergency brake. And then there's the fuel tank and some evaporator canisters to control fumes. But yeah, it's a pretty old school standard 4-link suspension. So there's nothing fancy about it. Running on coilovers with live shock valving. And then these straps they added, because this probably with 400 horse, I know it's not, it's a heavy vehicle, it's heavier than what I thought, and like 5,700 pounds, which is pretty heavy. But this, because it is a frame on body vehicle, you can see the frame running down there and the body's bolted to it, similar to a pickup truck, and probably tows a little more. So they added these straps so you weren't just towing off this cross member back here, because usually you just have four bolts across here, and that's all that holds your tow hitch. Well, they added these straps, I think, to keep it from twisting, because this can tow a little more and it has a little more power. But yeah, let's see the body mounts. Yeah, there's a body mount up in there. So it's a body mounted, it's not a unibody. Here's the body mount here. So that means it's body on frame, which is better. That's why it'd probably be a little quieter vehicle, a lot stronger vehicle. And it is a big tube frame. That's pretty stout frame. That's why it's so heavy. Yeah, that's why it's so heavy. But it has a skid plate for the fuel tank. And yeah, looks like it's just like a pickup truck, just smaller. That's probably why they build it where they build the Rangers, because it's like a pickup truck type setup. And it has these braces here, which help brace the transmission mount, because you got that transfer case hanging out there, and you're going to get torque off of this front shaft. So they have to have it where it's somewhat braced. And it's got another brace here that cross braces it. Probably that helps the sway bar. Yeah, so kind of interesting. Figured you guys get a kick out of the underneath of a Bronco Raptor. Just like a pickup truck, pretty much. Just a smaller, shorter pickup truck. And then let's see, so there's 3 different skid plates. There's this one for the transfer case, and then this one for the nose. That's the one I'm going to paint, probably that silver one. And then just because I like the black out look better. Looks like they got these things in the swing arm, maybe for if the tires rub or something rubs. It kind of correlates with the tire, but I don't think it'll rub. It's got a stop here molded in, so it ain't gonna rub. Even though I pushed the tires out a little bit, I don't think it'll rub. But yeah, so that's it. The only thing I don't like is this is plastic, but I guess in a way that's good, because if you damage it, it's just plastic. You can pop another one on there. But more than likely, if I do put a winch on here, that'll come off anyway. I think that comes off. And then I might powder coat that underneath, and then those clevis things black. Or I might paint them, and then if the paint don't hold, I'll get it sandblasted and powder coated. And then I think these half shafts, they would have to be, you can kind of see them up in there. You can't really tell on camera, these. I think they're bigger than a normal Bronco. I almost guarantee there's many things here. The swing arms, the half shafts, the shock systems, the springs, the upper control arms is going to be a lot stouter based on the fact that you're running 37s from the factory. So, and then that drive shaft's pretty good size back there. And then yeah, so yeah, interesting. I figured I'd show you this to you guys. I got the front wheels done. They're torqued and going back on. I got the backs going on. And then I can't put on those shock things, like I said. And yeah, I'll show you what it's like after it's on the ground, and how it, you know, how it sets with the wheels being pushed out a couple inches. All right, guys, see you in a little bit. All right, guys. As promised, it might have to settle a little more. Maybe a little more. Well, maybe not. It looks a little crooked in the camera, but it's not in person. But there's kind of an angle showing you the after I put the spacers on. It sticks out. It's maybe ½ inch. You don't see a lot. The biggest problem I had was this piece of fender here. When the tire was in a little more, it made that really look kind of funky. I think that helps it blend in a little better. I've got the front plastic off here. I'm painting it, and then I put in these little inserts right here, and they light up pretty good even with those on. And then here's the bumper cover. I painted it a semi-gloss right now. I think it come out okay. Moved it in here. I want to make sure it didn't dry too quick. I had one little fisheye there. After a few bugs splatter this thing, it ain't gonna matter anyway. But let me turn on the lights here and show you. This is kind of cool, that little red light there. You see that when you're driving down the road. But here's what they look like lit up, even though they have the covers on them. So it's kind of cool. I don't even know what they were, 10, 20 bucks. But what's cool with these Raptors is these lights light up yellow, but they flash. Those are your turn signals. There's the halos on this. Or on the other Bronco, they just stayed on. But yeah, so that's blacked out. I'll put this back on and show you. This is the tires, kind of maybe a little reflection in the light. Back up a little bit. Yeah, for some reason in the camera, It looks tilted in. I think it's just the way it's fish-eyeing, but it's not. It's straight up and down. It looks a lot better. I think that fills in those fenders better and gives it a bit better stance. It might spray a little more mud up on the body, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so there's just another little bit more just to show you, and I may get something when I'm out outside. A few people have done this, 1.5 inches each side spacers. They're metric, so you'd have to know the metric equivalent to put them on there. I can probably show you that. There's probably links and stuff there I can put into this video to show you. Alright, you guys, keep on going. Alright, you guys, figured I'd show you something probably completely unnecessary. These little inlays I just installed on the old Raptor. They're kind of cool. They're a little pricey because they're branded, and so, you know, it probably cost, I don't know if you can see the one up in the window here, but I'll bring it out so you can see it. It's reversed, and it's just for this little spare. Somebody had asked for it from this company Tough Skins that makes these things. They're a Ford branded thing, so they are a little more money, you know, 30, 40, 50 bucks in inlay. This one has the little claws on it, and then it denotes it as a Raptor a little bit better because you really couldn't see those. They still got this little Ford Performance thing which gives it a little touch of red. I may take that off. That's from the dealer. And then it has the inlays up here that I just put in. They're kind of cool. I think it should come that way from Ford. If the interior is orange or red, piping or accents, then that should be able to do that. Put that in there. You can kind of see, you still see it. And then as you come across the front end, they kind of carry over this little red pops here and there that put on it just to give it your own little mark, you know. Just little things you can do, like that short antenna, the little inlays like that, the front C clamps or C whatever they call them, clevises. And then yeah, and so it's got like it's kind of got a orange piping in the inside, but there is like a red here, but then it looks a little more orangish on the piping. Yeah, probably could have got orange ones. There is red there, even though it looks a little orange. And on the steering, and then here is probably closer to orange than red, but then there's red there on that piece. So yeah, I guess a little bit of, and then from here it kind of looks orange, but I did get red. And yeah, just some little things, doodads you do to it. The shocks, the Fox shocks are orange under there, but it's just some things you do to it. The lights are red, so I guess that matches that, to make it your own, make it a little unique. A little bit of fun things. There's really nothing on this side. Kind of thought it'd be cool to put maybe that type of inlay Raptor thing here, just on the sides, but it might be overdoing it once you got it on the hood. I think that's probably good enough, because you can kind of see it there. Yeah, that's good enough. I want to keep it understated, but just a little pop here and there, just to make it just a little bit unique and a little bit your own. Kind of silly, but it's a little fun too, and just make your own little mark on it. Probably won't do much else to it. I did put the spacers on it. You guys can see the tires stick out a little bit. It really kind of changed it as far as when you did that, because it not only made it where it fit the fenders a little bit better, in my mind, it made it drive a little nicer. It made it a little more, you know, it's going to add, it had 3 inches across the stance, and it filled the fenders out a little better, because The fenders were in here a little more. Wipe that off, look like a scratch. That'd be bad. The fenders kind of stuck out over the tire a little more, and this front fender especially looked a little wonky. Now it kind of fills that in. If you kind of see how much better it fills it in. Yeah, it's okay. It's pretty cool. And then the fog lights is the I want to say the outside ones come on with the switch, with one of the upfitter switches up there, and the inside ones come on with the button on the headlight switch that has them on when the headlights are on, and then only on low beam. I'll probably do 4-scan on it and shut off the double horn beep and the stop start. I'll shut that off, and then I'll have it where when it's on high beams the fog lights will run if I want them running, or shut them off. It'll be my discretion, not the manufacturer's. So yeah, I'll probably do those things, because the double beep and the auto stop start is just annoying. If you're driving a beast like this, you ain't worried about gas mileage, believe me. Otherwise you wouldn't own one of these chunks, because they're just a brick. There's no aerodynamics at all. Then you're running 37s with a 400 horse motor. Yeah, you ain't getting gas mileage. And if you're after gas mileage, you might as well buy a little Honda or something. All right, you guys, just figured I'd give you a little quick update on the old Raptor. She's pretty cool. We'll just have to see if anything pops up on it. Right now it's driving good, but it's only got 200 miles on it, so it better drive good. But yeah, couple little things. I don't think we'll add too much else to it. Really just don't need to. You can do it. I might do it. I did a little thing for the hitch cover because they get kind of rusty and look funky. And then down here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's an R. I think I might have showed that before. And you can put a little red down there, a little black, and inlay and make that R pop a little more down there on the differential cover, for what it's worth, just for fun. All right, you guys, wrap this up. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.